So this shocked a lot of us, I think, here, because we all had the impression the Irish are based, and who's more based than Clare Daly? But she lost, and she lost pretty badly. Controversial Dublin MEP candidate Clare Daly loses seat despite celebrity backing. Uh, her endorsements included Annie Lennox, Susan Sarandon, and other prominent figures. The left-wing candidate was eliminated on Tuesday after falling behind rivals in the Dublin constituency on the 17th count. During her stint at the European Parliament, Daly denounced Western militarism and was accused of giving succor to Vladimir Putin and other dictators, which she denied. She gained a big following on social media platforms and often appeared on state-leaning media in China and Russia. As Daly left the Count Centre in South Dublin, she rebuffed an RTE reporter who asked for an interview. Quote, "You had no interest in talking to me for 5 years, so I've no interest in talking to you." Based.
Yeah.
The Green politician Kieran Cuff, who helped clinch controversial new legislation on buildings' energy efficiency across the bloc, also lost his seat, eliminated in the following round in a knife-edge count. Voters bolstered Ireland's centrist government, chastened Sinn Féin, and elected a handful of far-right candidates in local elections that coincided with the European elections. The ruling coalition appeared poised to also do well in the European election, with counting expected to continue at least until Wednesday. So they should finish up today. This is Clare Daly's statement on X. "I'd like to thank everyone who voted for me and all of the people I've had the privilege of working with over my time as an MEP in Ireland, across Europe, and beyond. I have been honored to have been able to use this platform as a powerful voice for peace, anti-militarism, and neutrality. This result is not a rejection of those ideas. It is a testament to the success and reach of the work we've done that the establishment came out in such force to harm my chances of re-election. Electoral politics is always only a platform to organize from. That organization is going on in communities, workplaces, and universities all over Europe. We continue the fight." That's a very interesting point that she's making, and it's kind of something that we've been saying. That, sure, electoral politics can be part of the mix, but it's not the point. It's only useful insofar as it's part of a broader movement. And it's not surprising to me that she would think that way. Anything, Keaton?
No, I mean, what I was going to say is part of why electoral politics cannot be the end-all be-all is because of what we're about to show you here. Because this kind of process can pigeonhole you into taking certain positions for political expediency, meaning electoral expediency, that you might not want to take, that just conforms to a certain trend, a certain macro trend that
Right.
we mentioned a lot in the last segment, and we'll get a little more into now.
Now, Clare Daly, because I knew I was doing this, I looked up what position she's taken on immigration, which is a bigger issue in Ireland than I think, or in Europe than I think a lot of Americans realize. And she, where I found that she was asked that question, she was careful in how she answered it. She made the point that under the terms of membership of the EU, Ireland is free to set its own immigration policy. But she tried, in order not to sound right-wing, to say, but she would hope that human rights are respected. So she gave a non-answer. She gave a very politician's answer when she was asked about this, which gives you an idea of how damaging this can be in Ireland if you answer it the wrong way.
It's damaging for everybody. Real quick, I won't go on long about this. It's a hard question. It's a hard question because it's an impossible issue.
I'm not singling out the Irish.
No, I'm
but
just
I'm
saying
it's, yeah.
it's an impossible issue to have a good answer on. I mentioned that in a few shows back. Under neoliberalism and under imperialism, you really can't have good, humane immigration policy. So it's kind of this fucking impossible question to answer. Jose got that question at the rally. I have that. We'll put that on camera when we drop that whole piece. But these are very, very difficult questions to answer. There's really no good answer, which is why it's easy for demagogues to beat up on people over it, because they're the ones who have a clear answer.
Right.
Most people of good politics and good conscience don't have an easy answer.
Well, like the demagogue who posted this, you can see the kind of language the poster uses. It's one of the reasons I wanted to pull this. I follow the conversation on the right, and a lot of people on the left don't. So this video has been floating around for a while, and it was shared pretty widely. But I suspect a lot of our audience has never seen it. And I think it's important to not only understand some of the results in Ireland, but to understand these results in Europe. So they went and they asked people in Galway what they thought the most popular boy's name was.
CSO in 2022, the most popular boy's name in Galway was Mohammed.
Oh yeah, I read that somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, wasn't expecting that, but okay.
Wow. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, right. That's interesting.
Do you want to know what it was?
Yeah, actually.
It was Mohammed.
Mohammed? Oh my god, yeah, it was Mohammed. I knew that actually.
Ah, fuck off. Wasn't Mohammed. In Galway. Mohammed.
Oh, fuck off.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to know what it was?
Yes, please.
It was Mohammed.
Okay.
Okay.
You look surprised.
Really?
In Ireland?
In Ireland.
Well, that's crazy. Oh, that's crazy, yeah.
In Galway.
Crazy.
Not in Ireland.
Oh.
In Galway.
That's weird.
That surprised you?
Very interesting, yeah.
Really? That's surprising. Muhammad is the most common, huh?
All right. So all right. So, hey, again, the left needs to formulate a response to that is not simply you're a racist and you're a bigot if you are from Ireland and you are discomfited by the idea that Muhammad is the most popular boy's name in Galway. Now, I come from New York City, which, as I've said, I think is the greatest example of an immigrant society working in the history of the world. So I'm not coming from a perspective that can't work, that people from diverse backgrounds cannot come together and form something new where they respect each other's differences. I'm not saying it's always perfect or it always has been perfect, but I grew up with people from every part of the world, and it's a great way to grow up because it makes it almost impossible to lose sight of the basic humanity of all peoples when you've known people from every part of the world, every race and every religion since you were in nursery school. You've been with Africans, you've been with Koreans, you've been with Russians your entire life. The idea of growing up and saying, well, those people aren't human. How can you? You grew up with people from these places. So that's not where I'm coming from. But then again, New York was always a city of immigrants, and it's within a country where it is by definition a fusion of immigrant cultures, right? There is no America other than Native Americans. America is by definition that. When you start looking at these countries that have a blood and soil, to use the fascist term for a moment, connection to the land that they're on, where these people have these deep cultural ties to the literal place that they are, I think to ignore how powerful an emotional thing that can be for people, not just European people, all people. When you say to a leftist, these non-Western people are very angry about how Western culture is infiltrating their society, they get it right away. They're immediately sympathetic to that. Well, it's a human quality, and you cannot You cannot, if you don't want to empower the right wing, you have got to have a better response to it than you're a racist.
Oh, sure thing. Sure thing. What makes this such a powerful issue for the right wing is the fact that, as I've said before, there really is no good answer. What policy do you set? Like, what can you say? It's an issue that's downstream of bigger issues to the point where, yeah, it's just really impossible to come up with an answer that is as satisfying to people as, well, fuck them, keep them out, kick the ones out that are already here. Like, that's what the guy at the Jose rally wanted to hear. He didn't make a big thing out of it, but that's the answer a lot of people want to hear.
Right.
And unless you're willing to go there, it becomes a noose around your neck come campaign season. That's what I said. Like, the electoral space forces you to make certain tough decisions that you might not be comfortable with, that you might not feel are the right thing to do. You mentioned she sort of tried to toe the line on this. That's a very, very difficult line to walk, especially when out of the right wing, you're getting a very clear and understandable solution. Unambiguous on an issue that is this important. See, the reason why a lot of left of center, if you will, and where we put the center is debatable in any context, especially when you're comparing America to Europe and things like that. But it was easy for the sort of left of center position on this to hold when this issue ranked 8th, 9th, 10th in terms of where voters were thinking and how they were ranking the issues. When this is ranking first or second, and you got the Donald Trumps of the world talking about building a wall and mass deportations, and then you have occupying the entire space left of that, not necessarily even left wing, but anything left of that becomes very muddled and confusing, and it seems evasive in the mind of the average voter, and it becomes a very, very difficult thing to run against. I don't have an answer for it. I don't know how she could have been better on this. It seems like the Wagon X party just took a hard line and said, all right, we're just going to have to bite the bullet on that. That may be the short-term thing to do from a campaign standpoint. I don't know. It's really hard. Really, really hard.
It is. Ultimately, it is about foreign policy, as we discussed the other day. People don't want to leave their homes.
Right.
There are very few people who really hate their home, who really don't want to stay amongst the people they've known all their lives and the places that they're familiar with. They do that because they have to. They do that because you've created circumstances that leave them no other choice. Very few people are so adventurous. There are some people like that who would just hit the road looking for adventure. It's not most people. Most people just want to follow the local customs and get married and have their family according to the way that's done in whatever culture they're from, and live and die and live a pretty quiet life. If they're packing up and moving to Europe, which frankly many of them don't like culturally or not comfortable in, it's because they feel like they have to. So you want to answer it, I don't want to hear anybody talking about immigration who's not talking about foreign policy. Like that's, if you're talking about that and you're not addressing the reasons, you're not a serious person.
Exactly.
Please clap.